One common problem I see people face when starting something new is feeling overwhelmed and not knowing where to start, which leads to them not taking action. And this is one of the reasons why I'm creating this step-by-step video on the Amazon FBA wholesale process and selling name brand products via Amazon. Now, if you've been keeping tabs on our business over here, we're about to cross the $1 million revenue mark, which to me is absolutely crazy. But the crazier thing is that there's businesses and people out here doing much more than this. So whether you're new to Amazon or you're just new to wholesale, this video is designed to give you the step-by-step action processes you can take so you can take immediate action after this video. Let's get to it. What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video. So if you've been following me for some time now, you know that I've done everything from garage sales to retail arbitrage to online arbitrage, but now I just do Amazon FBA wholesale, and I have been for around 8 months now. And the reason why I say this is because oftentimes people that aren't in the Facebook group or that I don't talk to on a regular basis, they'll book a call with me and we start talking about what I'm currently doing, and I mention that I'm not doing online arbitrage or anything like that anymore, and they're a little surprised. And it's not that those business models are bad, they're great. I think they're amazing places for the majority of people to start. However, I'm always talking about leveraging your time and scaling your business. And this is the path I've taken, and this business model has really allowed me to do that. Now, before we get into the steps, I want to talk about what this video is not intended to do and what I plan on covering, because it is a lot to cover. This is not intended to talk about how easy this is and how you can start making $500 a day in 30 days or anything like that. This does take a lot of work, a lot of hard work. However, it's not rocket science, but just because something is simple, it does not mean it's easy, and it's going to take a lot of hard work. And I feel the need to say this. I don't think I myself have ever alluded to anything but that on my channel, but the entrepreneurship environment on YouTube, I feel like tends to sometimes. So I wanted to put that out there. So this video is intended to give you the steps you can take to where you can actually put in hard work and massive action to where you can start creating a real business for yourself. So that's what I intended to do with this. Now, I also wanted to cover 4 main questions I get asked all the time that I think are prevalent for a very in-depth step-by-step video. And that is, how much money do you need to start? What kind of profit or ROI on your items should you be looking for? How do I find profitable wholesale suppliers? And lastly, how much money do you need to spend in order to make your yearly salary so you can quit your job? And I say it like that because in this business, you have to spend money to make money. And I think it's really important when setting up your goals and expectations for anything like this. And if you guys do find any value in this video, feel free to like the video. And then lastly, I do give out a free call every video from here on out if you just type in free call in the description below. But the winner from last video is right here. So if that's you, reach out to me on social media and we can set something up. Now let's go ahead. If you're new here, if you're new to Amazon FBA, let me fill you in really quick. Fulfillment by Amazon, all that is a way for businesses and individuals to sell products via Amazon. And oftentimes when you see that Prime badge next to something when you're shopping on Amazon, 90% of the time that's being shipped out of an Amazon warehouse by Amazon employees, and it's just a business's product. As you can see, I don't have a warehouse. I just work in my studio, and you don't have to have a warehouse or a business location to succeed at this. You can do this anywhere. It may help you, it may be advantageous down the road, but as of right now, we do not have a warehouse. This is not private label, so we are not creating our own products. We're not creating new listings. We are not buying from other retailers. We are the retailer, such as CVS, Walmart, Target, and we are buying from authorized distributors to send into Amazon. And lastly, this is not drop shipping. We are buying all of our product up front in bulk for cash to sell for a profit. Now let's go ahead and get into the steps of what you need before you start contacting wholesale suppliers. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what you need. So first off, you're going to need an Amazon seller account. So just Google Amazon seller account, sign up there. If you're in the United States, it's pretty straightforward. You're gonna need a credit card or debit card, bank statements, something along those lines, a utility bill, a photo ID, and you should be good to go, assuming you're over the age of 18. Now, if you're out of the United States, you're gonna need a US bank account, assuming you wanna sell in the US, and you're gonna have to jump through a couple of extra hoops that other people here in the States won't have to, but I'm going to leave a link in the description below of a couple of YouTubers I know who've done a good job of talking about getting a bank account as a non-US citizen. So I will leave that in the description below. Now, once you signed up, there's gonna be two sides of the business you're gonna have to learn, and that's the Amazon side of things, and then the business to business wholesale side of things. So if you've already been selling on Amazon, odds are that's gonna come a lot more naturally to you, and you're just gonna have less to learn as opposed to someone just starting, and vice versa. Maybe you've never sold on Amazon before, but you have a background in retail, or you ran your own business before, or something along those lines, and you're probably gonna have less to learn there, as does someone who's never dealt with that before. So I just want you to keep that in mind, and I plan on talking about both of them in this video. Now, I also wanna touch on how much money do you really need to succeed with doing this, and this is a subjective answer to this question. Technically, you can get away with about $1,000. You know, a couple hundred of that's going to go to softwares and the Amazon seller account, which is $40 a month, and the rest of that going to inventory. However, I do think you are setting yourself up to not succeed as well. I think you need a couple grand, because a lot of these suppliers have $1,000 minimums, and it's never really good to put all your eggs in one basket, especially when you can't return these, right? So you better make sure it's a good item, because if you mess up, you could potentially lose all your money, and then you're back to square one. So just keep that in mind when doing this. Now, the last thing you're going to need is you're going to need a seller permit, because a lot of these companies won't work with you if you do not have one. And even if they did, without the seller permit, you're gonna have to pay taxes on what you're purchasing. So whatever state you're in, just Google seller permit followed by your state name, sign up for it. It could take a couple of days, or it could take a couple of weeks, depending on whatever state you're in and time of year you're in is going to determine how quickly you get that. And then lastly, this is not mandatory, but getting a website that's functional that you can sell products from, and then also a business address. Now, these are not mandatory. There are more than a handful of companies that will work with you if you do not have either of those, but it will help you land more accounts if you do have a functional website and or a business address. So just keep that in mind. I will have a link in the description below to Fiverr, which Fiverr is what I've used and talked about on my channel for outsourcing gigs like that. And my web developer is actually on Fiverr, so can't talk great enough about Fiverr. You just have to look around. Now let's go ahead and talk about actually contacting wholesale suppliers and wholesale supplier research. All right, so now that you have your inventory list, it's time to evaluate those items. And this is where you're going to get your first software, Scan Unlimited. And what this is going to do is it's going to quickly analyze UPCs from the product list that you got from your supplier to that of Amazon, so you can quickly match profitability. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, I've already uploaded this list inside of Scan Unlimited. It is already uploaded. There's a tutorial on my channel inside my wholesale playlist on how to actually upload this. That's going to take too long, so it's already uploaded, and you can quickly see by the rank, and you can quickly see profitability, you can see net profit, ROI, and all this stuff. Now we're going to throw in some filters really quick. You can say, okay, I want ROI higher than 20%. I want gross profit. We like ROIs higher than 20%. And then we're going to do net profit higher than $2.50. And lastly, any rank under 80,000. And this is just what we use for this list. Rank meaning how quickly it sells. The lower the rank, the faster it sells. The higher the rank, the slower it sells. Every category is different, and this is what we use for this category. So, another list, we might put it under 10,000. We might put it under 150,000 under another list. It just really depends. So don't use these filters exactly. I don't recommend it. This is just a baseline, okay? This is not going to be exact because we have to plug in the exact fees. So what we're going to do is we have this sheet, we download it to a sheet, all those ASINs, and this is just one ASIN on the sheet. We're going to run through this one as an example, right? So it says we bought it at $12.50. Well, the Scan Unlimited doesn't know this, but we're paying with a credit card, and that credit card is a 3% fee. So that's $12.88. Then there's $1.50 shipping fee. Now, this is variable amongst each item. Usually I like to use a 50 cent per pound per pound on the item, and I'm going to show you guys how to calculate that. But this is a hazmat item, and hazmat items you have to ship in with your own UPS account. And I'm going to be talking about the shipping later, but this is $1.50 shipping in, plus a 30 cent inventory placement fee. And I'm going to link you guys to all of the fees that Amazon has below. Inventory placement is when Amazon ships it from one warehouse to another because you send it all at one place. We most of the time do distributed placement, meaning if Amazon will break up our shipments of particular items, instead of shipping them all in the same one, it will break up the shipment. And we do it that way for a reason, so we don't have to pay this fee. And the bigger the item, the higher the fee is. So keep that in mind. So total all-in price on this is $14.68. Now, what we do is we can plug this in here, $14.68. It's selling at $26.50, and we make $2.63 at a 17.97% ROI. Now, this begs the question of two things. One is, what kind of profit and ROI are you looking for? Well, for us, we're looking for anything over a $2.50 profit, and ROI is anything over 10% ROI per week's worth of inventory, because you're not making money on the back end. So on this particular item, if 10% ROI per week, meaning if we buy 2 weeks worth of inventory, this needs to be a 20% ROI. 3 weeks worth of inventory, the item needs to be at a 30% ROI. So since this is 17.97% interest, we would buy no more than 1.7 weeks worth of inventory, or technically 1.8 weeks worth of inventory. And the way we determined a week's worth of inventory is we look at the number of sales. So we take the lowest number right here. So between 23 and 27 sales, that's per month. Okay. And then what we would do is we would click on this sales data. We would see how many people are at this particular price. So it looks like at the buy box, there's one person that's selling this FBA. We don't care about FBMs. We only care about FBAs. And however many people are at this FBA price is how many people are getting the sales. Okay. So this guy is getting, Wow Deals is getting all of the sales because he's the only one at the buy box. I have a video on the buy box in another video, but the buy box are the people who are getting the sales. And most of the time it's going to be the FBA guys. Now, if these 26.95 guys were FBA and the 26.50 guy was gone, then that means that these two guys would be sharing. But the 26.50 guy is the only one at that price. Now, if the 28.99 is Amazon, they might come down, but that's not really a good example. Let's say we're going to hop on this listing and list it at 26.50 as well. That means that we're going to share the sales. So 23 divided by 2, that comes out to be 12 sales per month. 12 sales per month, divide that by 4 weeks, we would buy no more than 3 of this item. So sales per month is 20, we'll say 25. There's 2 FBAs counting us. So that means that our sales per month would be 8 sales per month. Now, there are going to be minimums. Your supplier will tell you this. Your supplier may say, hey, you can't buy less than 12 of a certain item. You might have to buy 24 of an item, or maybe your supplier doesn't care as long as you buy a certain dollar amount. Maybe if we stack this order up, this total order is going to, this particular item, we're going to spend $104 and bring back $22 on that week's worth of inventory. So that's not bad. $22. Obviously we're going to have to stack up. I think this particular supplier has a minimum of 1,500. So we would have to go through the list, and it probably wouldn't be an issue. But some suppliers are going to care, and you need to communicate this with your supplier, asking them, hey, what's your minimum? Is it okay if I only buy 12 of a SKU or 8 of a SKU? Maybe you're going to have to ask them that. Okay, so one thing I did not mention is before picking on what to buy, you do want to check price history on Keepa. And I'm not going to be doing a tutorial on Keepa, but Keepa gauges price consistency. So for example, and I do have a tutorial on this as well, but look, let's say that in that particular example, it had only been selling at $26.50 for one day. And what if the rest of the time this item has been selling it at $22? Well, we need to know that, because that means that it could go back down to $22 and we could be selling that at a loss. And so Keepa is what we use it for mainly, is to gauge price consistency and past market trends to predict future market trends. And this is the third software I recommend. So I've mentioned 3 softwares up to this point. That's it. These are all helping us find items. Those are the only 3 that you should be focused on at this point in time. And after you go through the entire order and you tee it up for your supplier, you can send it to them and they'll tell you if they have them in stock or not. You pay them either via a wire or a credit card. It just depends on what they allow. And then you're good to go. They will either ship them into Amazon or they will ship them to you. In this next example, we're going to continue as if they're shipping them into Amazon for us, because that's the way a lot of our suppliers work. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to walk through the shipping plan now. And then once you get that order teed up, you're going to send what you want to your supplier, and then the supplier will ship them into Amazon for you, at least in this example. Some suppliers don't. A lot of our suppliers do, and that's the way we're going to continue. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go through the shipment process, and you're going to have those labels created, send those to your supplier. You're going to have to ask your supplier for box contents. How many boxes is it? How much, make sure that they weigh the right weight. Make sure your suppliers are abiding by Amazon's shipping policies, because that could get your account suspended. If they're shipping in 100-pound boxes, your account's going to get suspended. So make sure that it's actually according to Amazon's policy. You go through the shipment process, you give them the labels, they send in the boxes for you, and then the items will get into Amazon in a couple of days, maybe a week. It just depends on where they're going and what time of year it is. There's a big misconception with Amazon where it's a lot of people think you set it and forget it. You set your items and then you forget about them. That is so far from the truth. It's so crazy that people think that. You have to get a live-based repricer. So this is the 4th software I recommend. I recommend going with GoAura. It's a live-based repricer, and it is not cheap, but a lot of these markets, you have to price competitively, because guess what? If you're not pricing competitively, you're not going to be eligible for sales. So people who do have these repricers are going to outprice you. So let's say at that particular example, we price our item at $26.50. Well, if someone comes in that has the GoAura repricer, what if that guy undercuts us to $26.48? Well, that item isn't going to sell at all. So we have to make sure that we can actually sell this item and we're eligible for sales at the buy box. And you have to have one of these repricers. There are cheaper versions, but depending on what market you're in, you can get away with using cheaper versions. The more competitive the market, such as Nike shoes, perfumes, anything like that, anything that's very competitive, you have to have a live-based repricer, plain and simple. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, and this is what people ask me, is how much do I have to make in order to quit my job? What I'm going to give you is basically like a math formula on how to figure this out. So let's say you are making $100,000 a year. I'm just going to keep it simple. Okay. Let's say you're making $100,000 a year and that's what you want to make selling on Amazon. Well, when you're selling via wholesale, our margins are lower than that of someone selling private label, right? So that's one of the margins are just typically. Now, you can find items that are not lower margins. For us right now, we're dealing with a little bit higher margin products, but for all intents and purposes, we'll say 20% of your entire revenue is what you're going to bring back as profit. We'll say that, right? So that if that's the case, then to make $100,000 is a 20% of $500,000, right? That means that you have to do $500,000 in sales in order to make that $100,000. So if you want to make $50,000, you need to do half that, 250K in sales, right? A year. To get that 500K in sales, that means that you're probably going to have to spend right around $250,000. It could be a little less, it could be a little more, depending on the margins of your products. So I would say, actually, I take that back. I'm going to say 300,000. To get the 500,000 in sales, I'm going to say 300,000. That means that you're roughly going to have to spend $25,000 per month on product, which comes out to be $6,000 a week. Now, don't let this intimidate you, because in the beginning, you're going to think of it as like a graph that goes up like this, right? In the beginning, you're just going to have, you're figuring things out. It's going to start compounding eventually. Now, the reason why I say this is it's not a glamorous number. Like telling someone that's just starting that to make $100,000, you're going to have to spend $6,000 a week. It isn't glamorous, but I'm doing this so you have real expectations, so you understand the numbers and you're not setting crazy goals that are just unobtainable, right? Like knowing the numbers is so crucial in this business. It's extremely doable though. To give you guys an example of our first wholesale order, we started with $500. Did we have more than $500 in capital? Absolutely. But we started with $500. You know, once we felt comfortable, we took a couple $1,000 and now we're spending, I mean, you know, I would say in our wholesale business, anywhere from 75 to 110K a month. And we're looking to up that here soon. So it's crazy what you can do and how quickly you can do it. I just wanted to say that in the beginning. Now, if you are interested in mentorship, I am offering mentorship to a select amount of people. So I do have a training program, but it's not really a training program. It's a mentorship program. I'm selling my help. Because it's helping someone get from point A to point B to point C as quickly as possible without making the mistakes we did, right? So if you don't have to have help to do this to really succeed, but it will help speed up the results. I guarantee it. And the link for that will be in the description below as well as my social media. If you want to reach out and have any questions about that at all, feel free to reach out to me directly. But that's it for this video, guys. It was definitely a longer video, but let me know what you think. If there's any particular areas you want me to cover more in depth or have questions about, let me know, and definitely subscribe. Follow the free Facebook group in the description below. Like and subscribe if you guys like content like this. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.